Hello everyone, and thank you for attending this session about Ave Publishing and the App Factory. So what we will cover today is we will start where we left, say, last week. That means after we've been editing a document and creating a great publication, we are now ready to do something with it, and namely to put it in an app somewhere, somehow. And this is what will be covered in this session. There's a lot to cover, and some aspects are not really very simple. Just because we're working on, we are sitting on top of really two ecosystems that have their own lives. The first one is the ecosystem of the app app platforms. For example, the App Store. So there are a number of concepts there. There are a number of things that need to be done in order to create an app, in order to create products that can be purchased inside this app, etc. And there are also some concepts which are linked to our own portal and to the publishing side of things. So in order to walk you through all these aspects, I've created a little a PDF document which I will use to describe the various steps that need to be performed in order to create an application. And I hope it's going to be clear. And we're going to try to do those things in live, so really in demo mode, to create an application. So let's get started with these steps I was just mentioning. So on this document, I've sort of put side by side what needs to be done on iTunes. I'm taking iTunes and the App Store as the example of as my target platform for distributing my apps. The first step is the sort of obvious one. You need to create an Apple developer account. This is simply because whatever you publish, whatever money you make with selling your apps or selling your content goes into your bank account, and we are not involved in that process. So you need to create an Apple developer account. It's not an easy thing, and you need to don't underestimate the time it takes to get it approved. So this is the first step. Second step, you need to create your application on iTunes Connect, including preparing some graphics. Creating an application on iTunes Connect iTunes Connect is the portal for iTunes. And as you can see here, I'm live on iTunes Connect, and I've created an application because my use case is to create an app that sells travel guides. So I created an app. If we look at the details of this app, you can see that I have supplied an icon, and I have to supply the screenshot. And I have supplied some information about the app, such as description and category and things like that. There is a little of a chicken and egg problem here, because you are about to start creating an app. It's not live yet, and yet you have to supply graphics and screenshots already. Don't worry about that. Simply supply whatever you have, an icon and maybe a startup screen or whatever. You can change it later, but you need to have that in order to create your application. One very important thing when you create an app on iTunes is that you have to identify it uniquely. That means you have to create what is called a bundle ID. And as you can see here on my screen, I have chosen this bundle ID, com.aquafadas.mytravelbooks. It's very important to remember that ID, because this is the one I will use on the portal later when I will bind the application on iTunes with my definition of the application on the portal. So this is a very important ID to remember, and I've chosen that ID. So that's the second step. Just create the application on iTunes Connect, and the green arrow points to that ID I just mentioned. The third step is, sorry, it's in French here, create products, in-app purchase items. these are the products that you might want to sell inside your application. If you're creating a kiosk application, it's very likely that you will want to have multiple issues published in the kiosk and on a regular basis, say, and that each of them will be an item that people can purchase. So you will want to set up what is called in-app purchase. In some other situations, say you want to create an application that contains only one publication, or that contains a number of publications that you will not sell inside the app, but maybe you will have a price tag for the whole app, then you don't need to do that step. It's optional, but I will assume that we have to do that. And creating in-app purchase, I'm going quickly into how this works. You have to choose the type of in-app purchase that you want to add to your app. You can create subscriptions, you can create single item purchase, and the one I want to choose here is the one that says non-consumable. That means it's something I can purchase only once. So, for example, a magazine is typically a non-consumable item. You purchase it once and then it's yours. It should stay yours all the time. A consumable item is, say, for example, if you want inside a game to buy a credit of, say, 100 points, then you buy 100 points. You might want to buy a new 100 points later on, so you will rebuy the same item. This is not what we're dealing with here in publishing. Usually you buy a non-consumable item. And well, let's just do it. Here I'm in iTunes Connect. I'm going to manage in-app purchases, and as you can see, I have created two items, one which is called Big Guide, one which is called Small Guide, and I will add a new one just to show you how it looks like. So I choose my non-consumable item. I will give it a name, that's a reference name, and I will call that City Guide, because this is a type of guide that I want to have in my app. And I will use some ID, again, to identify that item. In that case, I'm using com.aquafadas.mytravelbooks.1.cityguide. This is a unique ID for that item. Then I can add several descriptions in several languages. Sorry, and I will add an English description saying that's City Guide. This is what will appear whenever someone purchases the item in iTunes. It will bring a pop-up, say, do you really want to purchase that City Guide? And you answer yes, and it goes through the payment. You can have an optional description. It's not really used in the anywhere during the purchase process, but there you go. Here I've created a description. Then I have to select the pricing, and because City Guides are pretty are complex, I will add a price tag of that's pretty high, €7.99. That's tier 10, and then I will supply a screenshot. Now the screenshot is really something that is not really important here. It's just for Apple to review the contents, sort of. So I'm just supplying anything here. It's going to be okay for the demo, right? And I do save. So now I have 3 items that can be purchased inside my app. That means the iTunes Store knows about 3 products that can live and be purchased inside my app. Done. Okay, so we've seen that part. Sorry, it's a bit technical, but I just want to walk you through all those steps because I think it's important that you understand how things tie in and how it really works. So we've seen that, creating in-app purchases. Now let's move to the avpublishing.com side of things. So everything we've seen up to now is the normal life of an iPhone, iPad developer, creating an account and then creating apps and creating products. If you're familiar with that process, this should be very familiar to you. Now we are moving to the sort of less familiar side of things, which is what AV Publishing is introducing. So the first step here is the creation of an account. You go to avpublishing.com and you create a publisher account. It's very easy. And then really what you want to do is you want to publish issues or content, because you've just created it in InDesign or in Quark Express. And you have your AVE files and you want to publish them. Well, we introduce a concept here, which is the concept of title or collection. You don't just publish issues on your account. We sort of ask you to organize them into either collections for say books or things that are sort of related, but or titles. Titles is typically used for press, magazines, and things where you have some periodicity. So this is it's really an umbrella for the issues that you want to publish, and you keep them organized. So if I show you now on the AV Publishing site how it looks like, I'm going to log in. And password, right. So this is the website. You see there are 4 big sections, big buttons. There is one about managing your titles and assortments. We're going to call that collections. And managing applications, purchasing publishing licenses, and publishing. So let's go to the first one, which is what we've just been talking about, managing your titles or assortments. As you can see here, I've created a title, a collection that I've called my travel books. This is where I want to publish my books. And the type is collection. I have decided on the language. This is just metadata really about what sort of language I have in my collection. The most important thing is what is displayed here, issue types. When you create a collection, let's just pretend we are creating a new one. I've just hit the new button, and you can see I can specify the various information about my title, icon, language, all those sort of things. And here there is something called issue type. This is a concept that we use to actually differentiate the items that you will have in your collection or in your title. For example, if you have a magazine, not all the issues are the same. Not all the issues are regular issues. Sometimes you have special issues. Sometimes you have a special Christmas issue, whatever. And you want to differentiate them, to tag them as being different. So we let you create issue types. So by default, there is one that's called default. This is the sort of standard one. And you might want to create new ones to just describe what are the different types of content that you can have. In my travel book, you can see that I've created on top of the default one called small guide, one called big guide, and one called city guide. Funny enough, these are the 3 types of content that I expect to have in my collection. Okay, so there's nothing magical here. It's just simply defining what sort of tags will be available when I publish to say this issue, what kind of issue is it? Is it a normal one? Is it, etc. So in my case, I'm really interested in those 3 types: small guide, big guide, city guide. Then I have an icon, and then I have the ability to purchase publishing licenses, but we are not going to look at that for now. We're going to come to that later on. So create a title, a collection, publish issues. Let's add an issue now that I have created my collection. I can add a new issue to it. So I go to the publish button. I select what's my target title or collection I want to publish in. Here it's already set to my travel books, and then you can see that I have 2 issues already published on the defined on the system. There's a guide of Peru and there's a guide of Atacama Desert. I will add a new one. So I will add one called Bolivia Guide, right? So this is where I'm adding a title, short description, and this is where I have to do the important thing, is to say what type of issue is that. My Bolivia guide is, let's say it's a big guide. Okay. I choose the type here, and let's give it an issue number. This is just, this is mostly used for magazines. I can add some headlines. This will be used in the descriptions field, etc., etc. And I have a few fields here to define some visuals for my publication. So typically when you create a document, you will have your AVE file, but you also need to prepare some things such as an image for the cover. Maybe you want to prepare an image for the summary. You can prepare a high-resolution image and a thumbnail, and this is where you upload them to the server. So I will go into my Bolivia folder, and I will choose first of all the icon, upload. So now the icon has been uploaded. I will choose a preview, which is a higher resolution image of my Bolivia book. And here I need a summary, but unfortunately I haven't prepared one, so I quickly go into this graphic app, later, and I just export. This is just an image that I've created. I will export it as PNG. Here it is, and I can now use it. This is my summary.png. Right, upload. Okay, so now I have created. Oh, I forgot to upload this one. Okay, so I uploaded my graphical elements. I can set a release date, so you can publish things and decide on the date when they should appear in the kiosk apps. In my case, I will set a publish date of the 1st of May, and you can also set an end date. This is the date where the item, the publication, the issue will disappear from all the kiosks that reference it. Some magazines have only, for example, the rights to the rights to the photographs for a month or two. They cannot sell back issues. So this is a way to actually support that. If you can't sell because of the agreements you have after a certain date, you can set that date here and it will disappear. Of course, if people have purchased your content, it will stay in their library forever, but it just won't display in the kiosk. I'm not using that here. And as you can see, there is a little checkbox. I can't really work with it now. It's dimmed, and it says test issue, and it's selected. This means that the issue I'm currently creating is a test issue. Now, up to now, I've only done metadata. Now I have to actually specify where my issue lives. And as you know, we don't do any hosting of your content. You host your content. So you have to specify at that stage what is the location where your content is being hosted. So I will add a dummy address here just to say that I have a file called bolivia.zave somewhere, and now I have to supply the manifest for that file. In InDesign or in Quark, when you export a file after the editing, it will not only export the file, but it will also export a manifest. That is a small file that describes what you've been working with. So if I go here, I have my AVE file that I exported, and I have the manifest next to it. This is the file I have to upload to the server. The reason we do that, we ask you to supply something, is because we want to make sure that the content that people will download when they buy this product is the content that you intended to have there. And in order to avoid having to send the full file to our server to validate it or whatever, we just send the manifest, which contains the signature of your file. So we can make sure that whenever the file gets downloaded in the kiosk, it will match. We will check that the manifest is the manifest of that file, and if not, we won't display the file. So this is a protection really for your content, to make sure that whatever people think they purchased, they get in the app. Okay, now I'm ready. I have published a new issue. If I go back to the publishing menu, I now have a new issue called Bolivia Guide. Okay, so that's publishing. Very simple. The next step is, now I've created my content, I've prepared everything on iTunes, and now I have to specify the application on the AV publishing side. So we call that the application specification, and you simply go to applications and you add a new application and use the same application ID as the one you've used in iTunes. It's very important that you do that. So I've created this app already. I called it My Travel Books. I've added the application ID. It's the same as the one on iTunes, if you remember. And now what I do on this page as well is I will say what content will actually flow into this application, because up to now I've published content, I've created something on iTunes, but I haven't created the link between whatever will be my app on the App Store and the content I've published. And this is done here by adding a product. So remember, on iTunes we've created an in-app purchase item called City Guide. I will do the same here and create the matching product called City Guide in my app. So I choose the content. This is my travel book collection, and I choose the product type. Currently, there's only one product type that I can choose. It's issues, but soon we'll add subscription, and this is where you'll be able to create subscriptions for your titles. So I call that the City Guide product, and I say what content issue type it matches, and it's the City Guide issue type, and I have to specify the identifier of that product in iTunes. So if you remember, the City Guide had this sort of long identifier, com aquaferas. I just copy that one and paste it here. iOS product identifier. This is the label says the iTunes product ID, and this is exactly what I've copied. So just to summarize, and I'm sorry if it's a bit complicated, but I've created a product on the iTunes Store. This is what will be purchased, can be purchased later on by my customers. And I've here created a matching product that says that this product, City Guide, that lives on the App Store, that is priced at I think it was $9.99 or something, or $7.99, actually is the price for my issues of type City Guide. Okay, living in the app for the title of our assortment called travel books. So I've sort of really created bindings between all those concepts using that interface. And if I go back to managing my application now, there is I can download something that is called an application certificate that contains all this information about my app. And this is what I will use in the App Factory to create my app. So here everything is set up now. I have an app, I have a collection, I've created 3 products on the Apple side, 3 products on this side, and I can now create my app and see those and see those products come to life. So this is what I will do now. I will download the application certificate. So this is a very small file that contains all the information I need to have about my application. And I will open the App Factory. So it's here on my desktop. Okay, so this is how the App Factory looks like. It's a Mac application that lets you create iPad or iPhone apps based on templates that we provide. In this example, I have 3 templates. One which is called My Great Bookstore. It's basically a bookshelf, and we supply some preview images. You can click on those images to see sort of a slideshow of different views of the app. There's another one called Kiosk. It's a simple kiosk for magazine, and there's another one called ZEV Reader, which is really a simple template that lets you read just one file. I will start by creating a bookstore with my books, and then later on I will also create a kiosk with my books. So I choose the template, and the application works as follows. On the left-hand side, you have a list of all the things you can change, all the various sections of information that you might want to interact with. So, for example, there's the very important one called Info, contains all the critical information about your application, such as its name, the icon that's used, the bundle ID, etc. Then I have a section called Startup Screens, which contains the landscape and portrait screens. I have the navigation bar, because this app has a button that lets me click on. There's an info button that lets me navigate to a website, so I can specify what's the URL of that website, and I can even specify a different URL whether I'm in landscape or in portrait. And then there is all the graphic elements for the bookshelves, because it's a bookshelf. So you have the portrait, the landscapes. You have different ways of navigating. You can isolate various views. You can also select everything on the left-hand side and just see the big list of all the things. So this template is mainly graphical. So you mainly have graphical elements, and in its current instance, you have the size of the graphical elements next to it. We'll also add a link. You have a little button that lets you view the element in full size, but we'll soon add a link to the Photoshop file, so you can actually click on that link, open the Photoshop, do the graphics you want, and then save it back and use that file. You'll be sure it has the right size and everything is fine. So this is how you set up the App Factory, from navigating the sections and changing the values on the right-hand side. There is a button called Localization on the top. It's a very important button. All the templates come in different translations. For example, this template comes in English and French. So I can't choose any other language here. Some templates come in more languages. It's very important when you publish on the App Store that you make sure that you select the languages you want to bundle into your app. Let me give you an example. If I have this setting here, English and French, it means that my app will contain English and French resources. When it's published on the App Store will detect that there is English and French and will display on iTunes English and French. And this can be very confusing because your consumers, they will think that the content exists in English and French. And if you're selling books that are in English, French people will complain, believe me, and the opposite is probably true as well. So if I'm publishing content that's mainly in English or only in English, I want to uncheck the French checkbox to make sure I'm generating only an English app, so people won't get confused when they see it on iTunes. Okay, so what we will do now is we will use that certificate for the app that was created on the publishing site and simply drop it here. And as you can see, as I drop it, it reads the information from that certificate, and it has populated the icon. It has also populated the application name, and the bundle ID comes from the AV publishing site, and I can't change it. I can change the application name, I could change the icon, but I can't change that part. It's really, if I would change it, it would throw a mistake. I mean, it would throw an error and display an error message. Okay, so here I am. I'm not doing anything else. I will simply test my app and launch it in the simulator. So I click on Export to Simulator, and hopefully it should open my app in the simulator. Okay, as you can see, the Bolivia book that we just published is now has been added to the bookshelf. So the information I entered on the publishing site is used to populate those screens. I'll come back to the price later on, but you can see that whatever I've entered here is used to into that screen. If I click on the summary, it will download my summary image and display it. Now, what about the price? There's something wrong here because this is not the price I had selected, and if I look at another product, it's actually the same price. What happens here, and it's not a bug, is that whenever I'm running in the simulator, which is this app running on my Mac here, the simulator cannot talk to iTunes. It's forbidden by Apple for a simulator to talk to the iTunes store, and therefore it doesn't get the price of the real price of the item. It displays, it has no price, and we decided to display a price that has 4 digits. We will probably add an alert or something that tells you more sort of obviously that it's not the real price. What I can show you is whatever happens if I run the same app on my iPad. This is what gets displayed, and I do get for that book, which is a small guide, which I set in tier 1. That means 79 euros or 99 cents. It displays the correct price. So don't get confused if you see a price that doesn't match what you've set up in the system. It's not a bug. It's simply that you need to test on a real device, and you will see the real price. So I could click here and purchase the item, and everything is wired to iTunes, and it will do exactly what is expected. Now, what I will do just very quickly is creating a new document here and choosing a different template. So I'm choosing kiosk template. It's very different. It has more information, different types of information, lots of colors I can choose, and lots of text, etc. and I will simply drop the same certificate into that new template. So if I go back to the info, you see that it's changed all the information properly. Now I will export to the simulator. Okay, and it's showing me first of all a little demo version pop-up. If I close it, I can see my kiosk. So this is more a kiosk that is suited for magazines. You can see the you could navigate by date. Here everything has been published in 2011, so I don't get many different years of content, but this is where I would be able to browse between my different years of content. I have a kiosk that shows the last thing I published, which is my Bolivia book, and I can click on different books and see the content. I have a library here. Sorry, it's in French, but you can translate that in English. That lets me browse through my years of content that I purchased. But here it says I haven't purchased anything. I have an info button that opens my website. I have a settings button that lets me manage the space used by the app and unload some files. And I have a bookmarks manager here that lets me view all the bookmarks I've set during the reading. So you see, very simply, you can create a kiosk. This design is probably not really appropriate for the type of content I have. I would probably use a different design and simply go here and change all the design elements that you can see and replace them by the ones I want. But it's very simple, and it's a graphical task. It doesn't involve any coding. I just want to, before we finish, because I've been a bit longer than I expected, but I just want to finish with two things. First of all, if I go back to my titles, you see that, first of all, you see that I've been able to do all that without paying anything at any point. There is no publishing fee that was required from me, requested from me during that process. And this is because all my content is in test mode. If I go to publish and see my content, you see the status is test. I can't, it's not production. Test means that it's only visible on those iPads that are test devices. And to declare an iPad as a test device, you go to your profile and you just add it there. It's a very easy way for you to see the content and make sure only you can see it and not your consumers, not your customers. So you can test your new content live before putting it in production. But if I want to go to production, I need to buy a publishing license. And this is done by clicking on that button here. And as you can see, you can choose the number of publications you want to buy for that collection. If it's a monthly publication, for example, I would buy this, and I could publish 12 issues. And you can update your issues 10 times, I think. It means if you have corrections and you want to upgrade them or things, you can do that. If you want to really make new content, you have to use a new credit okay. So this is where you would buy the publications. Now the application, as you probably noticed, has shown a little demo pop-up, and this demo pop-up simply says that this application is in test mode. It has not been licensed yet. And to do that, I simply go to my application panel and purchase the appropriate license here for my application. So for example, here it's a simple kiosk. It would cost me 500 euros to get this application to remove the demo pop-up and to make that application suitable for a publication on the App Store. I think I'm going to stop here. I hope that we've covered quite a quite a lot of ground, and I hope that's sort of clarified some of the aspects of the workflow. If you have any questions, we are ready to answer them now. Thank you.
We're a little bit over already, which is okay because we started a little late. I would like to thank everyone again for attending today's web seminar, and we are looking forward to seeing you again soon on any of our upcoming web seminars. And as I learned, and you learned today, when you want to watch one of the web seminars again, just go to our website, and then you can replay that and go into the details again. Okay, thanks everybody, and have a good day, and we hope to see you soon again.